A nauseating self-serving snooze fest, said another pundit. Well, that was me, actually. Another tissue of self-serving lies, mostly, I suspect. We don't know yet, but most of it looks like the Oprah interview, just another load of unsubstantiated smears. You know, it's very easy, I would argue, to construct an argument. Once you set a precedent for removing titles from people that bring dishonor to the royal family and the monarchy, well, why wouldn't you do the same to Harry and Meghan? Let them go and be.
There are rumors, there are scandals, and then there is the nuclear button. For years, the darkest, most fiercely guarded whisper in the deepest corners of the internet has been the surrogacy allegation. It was a theory so explosive, so legally perilous, that mainstream journalists wouldn't touch it. But Piers Morgan does not play by the rules of the Hollywood PR machine. He has just stepped up to the global microphone, and he isn't just hinting at the rumor. He is forensically dissecting how the ultimate alleged deception could have been orchestrated right under the noses of the British monarchy. To understand the sheer, unadulterated panic radiating from the Sussex camp today, you must understand the gravity of what is being alleged. If Meghan Markle deliberately bypassed the strict, centuries-old medical protocols of the palace to use a surrogate and hid it from the institution, it is not merely a personal privacy choice. It is a constitutional crisis. It is the ultimate betrayal of the line of succession. Piers Morgan is holding the match, and he is threatening to burn the last remaining shred of the Sussex credibility to the ground. We arrive at the first phase of the exposure, the medical blackout. Morgan points to the unprecedented, deeply suspicious secrecy surrounding the births.
I don't want to be doing another bloody segment on Meghan Markle and Harry, right?
You know, look what we've built. We've built a beautiful life, and we have 2 healthy, beautiful children. And, you know, and I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers when you get to the final level. And what's the goal in Super Mario? They're like, slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband. He's just out there just constant. Like, he's just going to do whatever he can to make sure that our family is safe and protected and we're uplifted and still make time for date nights.
Do you see any of the real Diana in Meghan?
God,
you?
No.
Really?
No. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison between Diana, who was the biggest star in the world.
The palace doctors, the men and women who have overseen royal births for generations, were unceremoniously sidelined. The traditional bulletin on the easel at Buckingham Palace lacked the standard signatures of the royal physicians. Why the sudden, ferocious need to rewrite the medical rulebook? Let us go inside the $14 million Montecito compound to witness the fallout. The California sun is blinding outside, but the house is a freezing, isolated tomb. The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening. In a fortress that was supposedly built on authenticity and speaking your truth, there is absolutely no truth left. There is only the suffocating quiet of a PR command center that is staring down the barrel of the ultimate unmasking. Silence isn't innocence, it is gasoline, and the entire estate is drenched in it. Prince Harry is pacing the length of his cavernous study, completely hollowed out. He is broken. He listens to the broadcast, and the terrifying reality of what they allegedly concealed is finally catching up to him. He traded the impenetrable armor of his birthright for a web of secrets so deep he can no longer remember the timeline. The recruitment operation he fell for required him to deceive his own grandmother, the Queen, to protect a narrative. He is a depreciated asset trapped in a Californian mirage, waiting for the legal and historical guillotine to drop. Down the hall, in the war room, Meghan is not weeping. She is never sad. She is a cornered apex predator operating with chilling, surgical precision. She relies on ambiguity to survive, but a forensic dissection of her medical timeline leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. You cannot merchandise authentic motherhood when a global broadcaster is demanding the receipts of your pregnancies.
Harry and Meghan, the dreariest couple in the history of planet Earth, famously abandoned their royal duties for a life of privacy. They left the goldfish bowl of Great Britain for the camouflage of California, remember? Famously sheltered from the evil British press. And since then, they've kept an incredibly low profile, as they vowed to. if you excuse the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews with everyone from Oprah Winfrey to James Corden.
One face for the public and then another face, yeah, there it is. I mean, incredible.
And it's actually
Incredible.
terrifying. I mean, it is terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. I mean, it's just the most awful look. And of course, what's really interesting is, well, why was she so annoyed about it? And what people told me.
Threaten a defamation suit immediately, she dictates to her scrambling legal team over an encrypted line, her voice metallic and entirely flat. Deploy the bot farms. Call it a misogynistic witch hunt. Do not address the doctor's signatures. But she is negotiating with ghosts. The public has been waiting for someone to ask these questions out loud, and the dam has finally broken. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, stands in the quiet, historic authority of the palace. He watches the Montecito simulation begin to violently crash. The men in gray suits are not panicking. They kept the files, they remember the missing signatures. The perimeter is locked, and the investigation has only just begun. The exposure moves from the missing paperwork to the physical illusion itself. Piers Morgan does not shy away from the visual anomalies that the internet has meticulously archived for years. He takes the whispers of moon bumps and code flicking out of the dark corners of social media and broadcasts them into the mainstream light, framing them not as internet trolling, but as potential forensic evidence of the ultimate theatrical performance. We arrive at the next phase of the alleged deception, the wardrobe illusion and the fortress strategy. Morgan points to the highly documented, physically impossible moments, the rapidly fluctuating bump sizes within the span of hours, the infamous ability to squat perfectly in stilettos at 8 months pregnant, the constant, unnatural clutching of the coat to shield the stomach from certain angles.
She sent out all her crap to Oprah and Serena Williams and Chrissy Teigen and all these people, and they all went, "Oh, look what Meghan's," and they went on Instagram and did that. It's like, why'd they do that? I was like, what are you doing? You don't send shit to her. How often does Serena Williams send shit to people? Hey, promote my shit.
Yeah, never.
Well, they're sisters. I forgot. I'm sorry. They're both queens, so I guess that would be, there'd be that. But, and Oprah, too. They're queens. But no, I mean, Oprah doesn't send stuff to people and go, hey, promote me. I need help. But Meghan does it all the time.
Apart from this weird, ill-informed, infantile speech he made, which was an anti-Trump speech, by the way, typical of Harry and Meghan. Oh, America's got to honour its international obligations and defend Ukraine. That's because Donald Trump is considering not doing that. So it was a classic Trump derangement speech, really infantile, immature, irresponsible.
Morgan alleges that this was not the behavior of an expectant mother. It was the hypervigilance of an actress desperately trying to protect a physical prop. But to maintain a physical illusion of that magnitude, you cannot remain in the high-traffic corridors of Kensington Palace. Morgan exposes the fortress strategy. This is the alleged real reason behind the sudden, frantic move to Frogmore Cottage. It wasn't about escaping a rift with William and Kate. It was about securing a controlled environment. They purged the veteran palace staff, installed their own loyalists, and effectively built a perimeter so tight that no senior royal, and certainly no unauthorized medical personnel, could get close enough to see the seams of the deception. Let us return to the Montecito compound. The $14 million fortress is a freezing tomb. The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening. Silence isn't innocence, it is gasoline, and tonight, the match is burning down to the fingers. Prince Harry sits in the dark of his study, completely hollowed out. He is broken. He remembers the closed doors at Frogmore, the frantic paranoia, the sheer exhaustion of maintaining the physical lie day after day. He realizes that the global audience is finally analyzing the tape. The recruitment operation he fell for didn't just ask him to step back from royal duties. It allegedly required him to be a co-conspirator in the greatest biological fraud in royal history. He is a depreciated asset, anchored to a scandal that threatens to completely erase his legacy. In the war room, Meghan is wide awake. She is never sad. She operates with chilling, surgical precision.
On the Serena Williams, this is a very unfortunate post for Meghan. The opening of the As Ever product she sent, the Mother's Day gift. This is really
so I just got
unfortunate.
this in the mail from my friend Meghan. Oh boy. And her penmanship has always been amazing from like the 100 years I've seemed to have known her. She sent me a beautiful box of chocolates from her brand As Ever.
Oh, look at
I should
that.
check it out.
Oh, you gave her diarrhea.
Chocolate.
I debauched it. She's like so classy.
The Netflix deal is up. You put out crap. It has nothing to do with the spotlight or people misperceiving you. We know exactly what you're up to. You're a complete grifter. You're a weasel. You're a scumbag.
It's just
The stars don't make you change. $15 for crappy jam just didn't cut it, honey.
She relies on ambiguity to survive, but the public, frame-by-frame analysis of her maternity wardrobe leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. Draft a cease and desist to all UK broadcasters, she dictates to her shrinking legal team over an encrypted line, her voice completely flat. We call it body shaming. We spin this as an attack on all mothers. Flood the timeline with the christening photos. But she is negotiating with ghosts. The visual receipts are already permanently burned into the digital archive. You cannot gaslight an audience that is watching the footage with their own eyes. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, receives the intelligence reports. He is cold, he is surgical, he is final. The men in gray suits remember the sudden isolation of Frogmore. They remember the staff who were locked out. The palace watches the Hollywood cannibalization happen in real time, knowing that a lie of this magnitude eventually collapses under its own weight. The exposure moves from the physical anomalies to the logistical impossibility of the birth itself. Piers Morgan now targets the most glaring, undeniable crack in the Sussex narrative, the bizarre, unprecedented chaos surrounding the delivery. He is forensically dismantling the Portland Hospital smokescreen. We arrive at the next phase of the alleged deception, the shattered timeline and the Lindo wing evasion. Morgan reminds the world of the long-standing royal tradition of the Lindo wing steps. The Sussex PR machine claimed Meghan refused to pose for the cameras because she demanded privacy and wanted a normal birth. But Morgan alleges the terrifying alternative. They avoided the Lindo wing because you cannot walk down those steps with a surrogate's newborn just hours after supposedly being in labor.
She wears this outfit to go and visit sick kids, dying kids in hospital.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the outfit that I wore to see those sick, yours for $300.
The dying kids outfit.
It's just the dying kids outfit.
Yeah.
It's just...
We're watching these two do exactly what they said they didn't want to do. This is why they left the royal family.
Without the veteran royal medical staff immediately noticing the biological impossibility. Morgan then exposes the shattered timeline. The world was officially informed by the palace that the Duchess of Sussex had gone into labor, only for the Sussexes to announce shortly after that the child had already been born hours prior. It was a deliberate, chaotic scrambling of the facts. Morgan alleges this wasn't a communication error, it was the frantic cover-up of a clandestine extraction, a desperate attempt to synchronize the arrival of a surrogate's baby with a fabricated hospital timeline. Let us step back inside the $14 million Montecito fortress. It is high noon, but the California sun cannot pierce the psychological winter of this estate. The house is a freezing tomb. The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening. There are no sounds of a vibrant family. There is only the terrifying quiet of a brand whose deepest, most legally perilous secret is being broadcast as forensic evidence.
The king was absolutely furious when Trump suggested that British soldiers didn't do their bit in Afghanistan when 400 of them died fighting alongside Americans in that bloody war. But, you know, it's diplomacy.
Actively, I think that Harry probably regrets, I'm sure he regrets actually, because he no longer demands an apology. He regrets the way in which he levelled at his family. The fact he clearly now wants back in, he misses palace dinners, he intonates that he's keen for some kind of reunion.
Silence isn't innocence, it is gasoline, and the match is burning down to the fingers. Prince Harry is standing by the massive bay windows, completely hollowed out. He is broken. He remembers the sheer, suffocating panic of that day, the secret transport, the hidden vehicles, the desperate attempts to outsmart the British press and his own family's aides. He realizes that the global audience is finally putting the timeline together. The recruitment operation he fell for didn't just isolate him. It allegedly turned him into a biological smuggler within his own kingdom. He is a depreciated asset, stripped of his royal dignity, facing the agonizing reality of a permanent historical scandal. In the war room, Meghan is pacing. She is never sad. She operates with chilling, surgical precision. She relies on ambiguity to survive, but the hard, broadcasted reality of the conflicting labor announcements leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in.
Charles apparently very close to saying, I've got to do an Andrew on Harry. I've got to take his titles away.
Well, in a way, he's worse, isn't he? Because he's actually attacked the royal family themselves. Andrew didn't do that. He just, made a disgrace of himself. But Harry never reads the room. Do you remember when he said, I killed 29 Taliban in Afghanistan? You never do that as a military person anyway.
Like awful Andy, he's dumber than dumb, full of his own importance, convinced he's always right, and absolutely hates to be contradicted. All of which is why Charles fears there may be no alternative to diminishing his son, degrading him to a former prince.
Attack the messenger, she dictates to her rapidly shrinking crisis team over an encrypted line, her voice metallic and entirely flat. Claim Piers is obsessed. Leak a story about the trauma of the birth. We distract them with emotion. But she is negotiating with ghosts. The public is no longer blinded by the emotional manipulation. They are demanding the medical receipts. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, monitors the global fallout. He is cold, he is surgical, he is final. The palace recognizes the supreme vulnerability of the Sussex timeline. The men in gray suits never deleted their own logs of that day. They know exactly when the cars moved and who was in them. The trap is tightening, and the Montecito fortress is rapidly collapsing from the inside out. The exposure now transcends tabloid gossip and enters the terrifying realm of constitutional law. Piers Morgan is no longer just questioning a timeline. He is laying out the framework for what could be the greatest historical fraud ever perpetrated against the British crown. We arrive at the most legally perilous phase of the alleged deception, the constitutional crisis and the line of succession. Morgan points to the ancient, unbending laws that govern the British monarchy. The rules of succession are not suggestions. They are ironclad legal doctrines.
If Queen Camilla had her way, Harry and Meghan would be detitled right away. But as he ponders the ultimate punishment, the king is letting the gruesome twosome stew. Like millions of appalled Brits, Charles was sickened by the sordid spectacle of the Sussexes shamelessly cashing in on their pretend royal tour of Australia.
The financial clock is ticking. So he says, look, that it's not like they're going to be bankrupt tomorrow, but there's basically about 5 years worth of reserves before they have to seriously change their lifestyle. And he says that the inheritance money from Princess Diana has pretty much run out.
To remain in the line of succession, a royal child must be born of the body of the reigning monarch's spouse or the royal descendant. There are no loopholes for modern family planning. A child born via surrogate is fundamentally legally disqualified from the succession, and therefore disqualified from the royal titles that accompany it. Morgan alleges the ultimate, chilling motive. If the Sussexes used a surrogate and concealed it, they didn't just lie to the press for the sake of privacy. They allegedly committed a deliberate, orchestrated fraud against the sovereign, the parliament, and the Commonwealth. They demanded HRH status and prince and princess titles for children, while allegedly hiding the exact biological truth that would legally strip those titles away. It is not a PR scandal. It is constitutional treason. Let us go back inside the $14 million Montecito compound. It is dusk. A suffocating heavy marine layer has swallowed the fortress, turning it into an isolated tomb. The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening. There are no sounds of a vibrant family life. There is only the suffocating quiet of a PR command center whose entire legal foundation is actively crumbling under the weight of an international broadcast. Silence isn't innocence, it is gasoline. And tonight, the flames are licking the very walls of the estate. Prince Harry is wandering the empty, cavernous corridors, completely hollowed out. He is broken. He listens to the legal ramifications Morgan is broadcasting, and the final, horrifying reality of his situation locks into place. He realizes he didn't just rebel against his family, he allegedly defrauded the very institution that gives his life meaning. He demanded security and titles based on a constitutional requirement he allegedly knew was compromised. The recruitment operation he fell for didn't just make him an exile, it threatens to make him a historical criminal.
Financially, the couple are a laughingstock in Montecito. A really good example of how financially challenged they are. It's almost unheard of to buy a house in Montecito and just move into it, right? You buy a house and you do like a $7 million remodeling job, right? To make it all up to date. You don't take the sort of, we've seen the insides of the house. Yeah. It's hideous. It's absolutely hideous.
You gave up any royal duty, but wanted to have your royal cake and eat it by keeping your title so you could exploit them and make gazillions of dollars in America to the highest bidder. And what do you do for that money? You trash your family endlessly, and you're going to keep doing it, as does your wife, who trashes her own family, most of whom she's disowned.
He is a depreciated asset, staring directly into the abyss of total, permanent ruin with absolutely nowhere to run. In the war room, Meghan is wide awake. She is never sad. She is an apex predator cornered by her own hubris, operating with chilling, surgical precision. She relies on ambiguity to survive, but the hard, unyielding reality of British constitutional law leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. You cannot PR your way out of a treason allegation. Pivot to the modernization narrative, she dictates to her panicked, rapidly shrinking legal team over an encrypted line, her voice metallic and entirely flat. Claim the succession laws are archaic and discriminatory. We shift the blame to the institution. Play the victim of old rules. She is attempting to rewrite centuries of law, but she is negotiating with ghosts. The global public does not care about modernizing a monarchy they don't belong to. They care about the deception. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, watches the broadcast conclude its fourth segment. He is cold, he is surgical, he is final. The Crown is not interfering because they don't have to. The men in gray suits have always known that the truth requires no PR strategy. The constitutional perimeter is permanently sealed, and the legal guillotine is suspended by a single fraying thread.
Oh, pause. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Nice peg, you fool.
They're all out of their slots. They're stuck together. It's a mess.
Ew, gross.
And you know what? They look like...
Oh, they look like laxatives.
They look like...
No, this
Not
is
that
a
I know
disaster.
what laxatives look like.
This is possibly the biggest disaster ever in the history of commerce.
A nauseating, self-serving snooze fest, said another pundit. Well, that was me, actually.
The exposure reaches its absolute, devastating terminus. Piers Morgan does not conclude his broadcast with mere speculation. He ends it with the ultimate, inescapable demand. He shifts his focus directly to the Montecito PR machine and issues a public ultimatum that forensically dismantles their final defense. We arrive at the ultimate reckoning, the demand for the receipts and the collapse of the simulation. Morgan lays out the trap with terrifying precision. If the surrogacy allegations are truly a vicious, unfounded smear campaign, the solution is remarkably simple. Release the unredacted medical records. Produce the signatures of the royal physicians. End the speculation with hard, undeniable data. But Morgan knows, and the entire world now realizes, that the Sussexes cannot produce what does not exist. Their relentless silence on this specific issue while they happily sue the press over a text message or a private letter is the ultimate confirmation. By refusing to show the receipts, they have effectively confessed to the crime. Let us step inside the $14 million Montecito tomb one last time. It is dawn. The suffocating heavy marine layer is finally burning off.
Harry's visa application to live in America, you know, that controversial thing that the Heritage Foundation have been trying to take him to court, trying to get it challenged, saying that they believe he may have lied on that form. Well, I can't say too much, but in the words of the song, there may be trouble ahead. I'll just leave that hanging there.
It was when all the racism claims turned out to be bullshit. The mental health claims were all of it was bullshit, designed to damage and attack the royal family, the monarchy, and all of it. And it made me cute.
Exposing the fortress to the harsh, unforgiving light of reality. Inside, the house is a freezing void. The silence is absolute, predatory, and deafening. There are no sounds of a thriving, vibrant family preparing to take on the world. There is only the chilling, unnatural quiet of a stage set right before the curtain drops forever, revealing the hollow scaffolding underneath. Silence isn't innocence, it is gasoline, and the entire operation has just gone up in a spectacular, globally televised blaze. Prince Harry stands by the massive bay windows, looking out at the California horizon, completely hollowed out. He is broken. The terrifying ultimatum delivered by the broadcast finally shatters his last remaining delusion. He looks at his own isolation, his severed ties with his bloodline, and he realizes he is staring at absolute historical ruin.
Lived in by some kind of, Russian billionaire and was probably last updated 15, 20 years ago. I mean, they are so broke.
For them. But he has always said when the money ends, the real story begins. That story is beginning now.
He didn't just walk away from his duty, he allegedly anchored his entire existence to a biological fraud that fundamentally disqualifies him from the history books. He is a depreciated asset, trapped in a house built on secrets, waiting for the inevitable day when the crown officially and legally audits his children's titles. He traded the unquestioning, lifelong protection of a 1,000-year-old empire for a lie that is rapidly expiring. In the war room, Meghan stands amidst the shredded remains of her 5-year global strategy. She is a cornered predator. She is never sad. She operates with chilling, surgical precision, desperately searching for a new narrative. She relies on ambiguity to survive, but the undeniable, broadcasted reality of the surrogacy ultimatum leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. The victim card has been permanently declined.
Maybe they can eke out 5 years in California. I mean, I think that's being generous and being friendly. And the problem is that if they're spending the capital, as anybody knows, the last thing you can do is you can spend your capital. All that capital needs to be invested, generating a little bit of income. But, the reality is, they financially, they're a joke out there.
About an institution which gave you the titles on which you now trade millions of dollars. What are you talking about? What stakes are there other than the massive, gigantic stake you're currently plunging into our monarchy over here? And as for telling their story, sorry if I missed something. I thought you've been telling your truth, often a pack of lies, from the moment you abandoned this country.
You cannot claim the media is destroying your life when you are actively, allegedly hiding the truth of how life was brought into your home. We pivot to medical privacy, she dictates to the empty room, her voice a metallic, desperate whisper. We become advocates for fertility rights. We admit nothing, but we claim the conversation is offensive. We drown them in outrage. But she is negotiating with ghosts. The leverage is completely gone. The Hollywood investors have fled, terrified of the constitutional contagion. The entire world has seen the missing signatures and the shattered timeline, and you cannot unring the bell of a global, forensic unmasking. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, stands in the quiet, historic, and absolute authority of the palace. He has made his move.
So she's the psycho, or she's the dictator in the high heels, or she screamed at them and belittled them and undermined them. As the Sussexes will always say, this is completely made up. You are not naming, this is what they were saying to me, you're not naming the sources. It's all rubbish. But unfortunately for them, Jason Knauf is on the record as having said this in a black and white email sent to his boss, Simon Case. She always seems to have someone in her sights. She's completely undermined the, I do think that there is a potential that he could make a case that he has been somewhat led astray. And I wouldn't rule out rehabilitation for Prince Harry in the long run if changes came about in his personal situation.
By not moving at all, he is cold. He is surgical. He is final. The perimeter is fully and permanently secured. The simulation has violently crashed. The men in gray suits didn't have to launch an investigation or issue a frantic press release. They simply had to wait for the Sussexes' own web of deceit to choke them. History will remember Meghan and Harry not as the compassionate modernizers who conquered the monarchy, nor as the power couple who conquered Hollywood. History will remember them as the grifters who walked willingly into their own trap, traded their birthright for a fabricated reality, and lost absolutely everything when the truth finally demanded the receipts. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and remember, the truth is undefeated.